All right. Well, Goldie, welcome. Good to see you.
What? Tell me what I call you. What would you?
Oh, just BJ.
Just BJ? Okay, I didn't know you've got lots of brands and names and irons in the fire. I didn't want to make sure I addressed you properly.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes too many irons in the fire. I'm sure, but I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know how that goes because you're all over the place too.
Yes, I love it.
Well, so awesome. So, yes, you're going to be in town for the new Waterford Beer and Wine Festival. That's on Friday, September 13th. I believe I have that date correct.
And so are
And
you.
yeah, looking forward to we're looking forward to playing with you. So, Goldie, take me back to your start in music. I mean, what was the catalyst? I mean, you guys have been around. I didn't realize that you guys have been around for as long as you have. But yeah, what got you into a band? I mean, what made you want to start playing music?
My dad played guitar in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and all of my friends would hang out at different studios with all these great musicians, and I got to meet them when I was really young and just figured like I was going to follow suit. So, I mean, I come from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and hung out with Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Prince, the family, just all the George Clinton, Sheila E., all the people that were traipsing around in Minneapolis. And I just really saw that and wanted to do it as well. There was so much going on in the Minneapolis music scene that it was hard to not get that bug. So that's really why I was inspired and started because of all those great musicians.
Now, you guys have done a number of shows, obviously, and stuff throughout the years, and I was you've opened for a ton of huge acts and stuff. What have been, I guess, if you had to kind of condense it down a little bit, what have been some of the, I guess, sort of biggest highlights or biggest thrills for you guys?
That's a really great question. You know, I've been doing this for so long. I started singing and touring, and I started in acting when I was 3. So I've been doing this for so long that the highlights for me personally is just when my bandmates, especially if they're the good ones, because we definitely go through different casts of people that are in the group. But right now we've got like a really solid, awesome group of men. And Rod's been with me for almost 14 years. When I have a good cast of well-deserving human beings, when we're opening for huge bands, just the perks that come with that and the special opportunities and things. It's nice to be able to see other people in our group getting to experience things for the first time. I've seen and done it all, BJ, you know, so it's still fun for me, but it's more fun to be able to give opportunities and memories and moments to somebody else. So no matter what we've done, what we've seen, when I see somebody else looking like a little kid in awe, that's what makes me happy. So if that makes any sense without like, because I mean, there's so much craptacula. I could talk about some of these bands that we've opened for. You think it's going to be amazing and magic, and they like just disappoint you, or they're crappy to you, or mean or abusive. That I always try to like say what's something positive that I can say. Positive is the big acts. There's been some that have been so nice to our guys, and you can just tell them. Or I'll give you a quick example, like Joan Jett, like literally tips people 500 or $1,000. Like she'll leave, and you hear the rumble back from all the chambermaids or the housekeeping people. Like, you know, Joan Jett left me $1,000. You know, I only she stayed for a night or 2 nights, and like this, I mean, obviously $1,000 to somebody that's working in hospitality like that, to any of us, is a really big deal. Those are the things that I like to take back from the acts that we've worked with or open for, is the beauty and the goodness that they've done.
So you mentioned Joan Jett. Who are some of the other ones that have been really good to you guys?
I have a story about a man that approached. I love telling this story. It's a quick one. Approached the stage, Biloxi, Mississippi, and he just wanted to really compliment me and the band. He complimented me specifically and said, you know, I know what you're doing. You've been doing this for a long time. I can tell you're seasoned. I've played in a lot of piano bars. I know the grind. I know this can get to you. You're all about like entertaining the people. He said, man, I wish I had more money to give you, but I'm with one of my friends and he drinks a lot and I'm broke tonight, but I have this. And he like reached his little hand out and he put some, you know, did the exchange. And I was like, thanks. And I just took it right in my pocket. He said, well, I just really wanted to let you know, I know what you're doing and you're good. You're great. And he walked back and I saw him heading back across a big venue, 4,500 seater. I saw him heading back to the bar, the big lit up bar, and I saw a man in the shadows. I could see him turn. He had little glasses on and a big top hat, long curly hair. And I was like, yeah, I guess your friend can put back a few. So it was Gavin DeGraw, and he was in Biloxi touring, and he happened to be with Slash and some of the guys from GNR. But I will always remember that amazing act of kindness, because he was just spectacular and an incredible human being. And then I was like, super talented, sexy guy, great singer, great songwriter, but a great human being.
Nice. Yeah, it is always cool when we've opened for a number of bigger bands, and
I know you
it's
have.
cool. I think the ones that stand out to me most is not necessarily the biggest bands we've opened for, but just ones that I personally like a whole lot. And then when they give you like sort of the stamp of approval, we opened for Kix a couple times,
Nice.
and Steve from Kix had told us, he's like, man, you guys are one of the best opening bands we've ever had. Like, and it was just like that. It's like, man, this is like, yeah, I idolized you guys as a kid, and I've got all your albums. So that's just ultra cool. But yeah, it is cool when it works out that way. But so on the flip side of that, if you don't have to name names if you don't want to,
I'll give it. Yeah.
but who have been some of the worst, and what would have been sort of we have a couple of those too, but yeah, who've been some of the worst, I guess.
Well, yeah, I won't name any names. It'll be really tough to figure this one out. But like, I remember one guy that like just everybody's shuffling around backstage trying to accommodate him because they needed to line the room in plastic bags. Like they had to take garbage bags and cut them and then duct gaff tape them to the wall, because this guy was requesting like a gurney so that he could have supporters, fans, whatever you want to call these people. We say supporters because they support us, but he's got more fans, and they'd have him come in, and then they'd get naked and they would do enemas. He would give them enemas, and then whatever fecal matter he had to work with, he'd create art and just throw it on the walls. And yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, anyway, great live show though. A lot of people like this person. We'll just leave it at that. Interesting. I remember another group that I loved their songs growing up. I would sing. We opened for them. We were getting off the stage and they were coming down the hallway. And I just remember one of my guys like holding his hand out, like we're walking by, he's going to do the high five. And the guy just like looked at him, looked down at his hand, and just kept on walking. And I was like, wow, you're a sucker. Like you couldn't even like touch another person's hand. Like we weren't stopping to talk to you, take your time, bother you in any way. Like I bow down to you. But I was like, yeah, anytime anybody brings up that band, I'm like, ugh. So I have one story though. You'll totally love this. I always get his name wrong though. Oh, let me get his name right. Okay. I got DVD, Melissa Cross. She's the vocal coach to the Screamers. So she's coached like Lamb of God and just all the metal guys. Like she's really, really good. And I thought if I can learn that technique, then I'll definitely be able to protect my voice on our regular shows, because I'm not cooking monitoring. So I was all excited. I got my new DVD. I got a little DVD player, my tapes. And I was like backstage. I was warming up and I saw this guy like waiting because there was a bunch of bands that day. And I was like, hey, what's up? Are you playing the show? And he was like, yeah. He just smiled. Yeah, we're playing the show. I'm like, oh, cool. I got a new tape. Want to listen to my CD? Melissa Cross. She teaches the metal guys. I said, you look like you might be kind of rock and roll. You want to hear my tape? You want to hear it? You can use it. You can warm up. And he smiled at me and he's like, nah, mate. He says, I'm good. And it's like, but thank you. And I was like, all right, well, if you change your mind, I'll be in the corner. Well, anyway, I didn't realize that we were opening for Judas Priest that day. The main band was Rob. I'm like, here's me, like, oh, you want to warm up with me? Like, God, loser. So yeah, but he was so nice. And I'm like, yeah, that's Rob Halford from Judas Priest. That is Judas Priest. But he didn't need my tape. He was good.
Nice.
You idiots. You idiots. Yeah.
That's nice. But well, I don't want to gloss over the first story you told. So you opened for a band, or you were with a band that was literally throwing shit on the wall?
Yeah, well, not the whole band.
Just one guy.
Well, I didn't say guy. I said person.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell me who that is off. I really want to know who this is off there.
Yeah, I mean, interesting time. Then like there was another opening act. Like we were before one other act, and I was like, how did this non-talented chick get this? What is up? Because we're pretty talented cats, and I was just like, couldn't figure it out. And then they just kept talking and talking. They were just they were idiots. And I'm like, what? All
Mm-mm.
right. And then I found out that this particular person and then the manager and the same other person with the fecal matter painting gimmick, like they were in a love triangle. I'm like, all right, say no more. Now I see how
Mm.
how you got the gig. So yeah, you're always wondering like, how did this, I'm never jealous or envious, but I'm always like, how did they get and then there's a lot of chicks that get the gigs, but I'm not that chick. So, and everybody
Mm.
knows that I have a reputation for being pretty solid, BJ. So not that other people aren't solid. You do your thing, but I run a pretty tight ship.
I guess. So how did you end up in the wrestling world? I mean, was that just a result of somebody hearing your music and then
No.
would that?
Well,
Okay.
yes and no. It was the lawyer that was putting together the new promotion. That's how I got in. It's not me like wowing everybody with no. I was who you know and who you whatever, but I'm not doing the second half. So I knew some people. So I knew the lawyer and she just basically was like, you have to book this girl. And I did do a lot of courting with the Jarretts, with Jeff and Jerry. I don't know. I always thought like I did a really good job selling myself. No, I had a really good lawyer.
Mhm.
What's going on behind you? I feel
Oh,
like it's
so
like TLR or whatever, like the
yeah,
New
yeah.
York, the New York studios with whatever Good Morning America, where you can see people walking around back there.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not that popular. No, so that's just so where our studio is located. It is literally in like it's like a big building here, but we're right in the front, so it's like picture windows all the way down, and so
I
that's
love
the
it.
entrance to the building. And like as soon as you walk in, like you hang a left, and this is right into the studio here. So yeah,
I
there'll
love
be
it.
a lot of people walking by here. But no, so tell me a little bit about the wrestling world and stuff. I mean, what was that adjustment like for you? I mean, how was it? I mean, did you just kind of fall right into that? I mean, were you a wrestling fan growing up? Was it something that you followed at all? But yeah, I mean, kind of describe to me
I
sort of how you
was
got that and what it was like.
I was a wrestling supporter growing up, but not to the extent of like what I should have been. And I got thrown right to the wolves. I never knew what I was doing or what was happening, and it was brutal. And the first day we were in a huge municipal auditorium and I didn't even know what I was doing. And they're like, well, just go out there and like in front of live TV, in front of millions of people. Just go out there. Go out there and do what?
Mhm.
So I figured out fast, very quickly. People either loved me or hated me, still do. That's fine. I'm glad that you're passionate about something. But yeah, I never knew what I was doing. You can think that you're a fan or a supporter of something until it's your turn to go out there in front of the dogs. Like
Mm.
it's very brutal. I'll never forget it. I think I shit my pants that day. Probably did. That's how no, you gotta be pretty scared to shit your pants because you want unless you're the artist that we open for, that's not something that, you really wanna be into. Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking, but you find your way. Just I would rather just be pushed out of the tree, BJ, and jump and figure it out than tiptoe around and never get anything done. Never
Mhm.
execute. So, yeah, I literally was thrown into it overnight, and here I am now today, but you figure it out.
Wrestling is so. I mean, I've got a lot. Obviously, I work for my side job is for Chris Jericho, and I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of wrestlers and stuff over the years. It that business is so fascinating to me in the fact that it's one of the only jobs where you are literally critiqued the entire time you're working, like in real time. Like I've never seen a fan base more passionate and also more ugly, but also more. But on the flip side of that, there's great fans obviously within wrestling and stuff too. But it just is always to me like I've never like and sort of the whole gossip and kind of the tabloid kind of nature of it too, which you wouldn't think, oh, professional wrestling. It's like the it's just so crazy to me how much gossip there is and how much rumors there are and all the clickbait stuff that's kind of out there when it surrounds pro wrestling. It's fascinating to me, and I respect anybody that's ever worked in that industry because it's got to be a challenge.
It is a challenge. I was just talking with who I was my best friend. My accent's thick today from Minnesota because I talked to her for like 3 hours yesterday as we just did a huge music video with Mickey James, WWE, TNA
Mhm.
Impact. She was in it on Tuesday, and then anytime you do a production or a shoot, there's the next day of fallout, all the crap that needs to get boxed and sent back to wherever and unshopped and cleaned up. So I was like, I'll put my headset on and I'll call my best friend from Minnesota. And she said, you sound good. You sound better. Because a couple weeks ago, oh my God, like I'm a human being. You're a human being, BJ. And you're an artist. You writing all these songs I hear, right? That's you. Okay. That's a different bird. That's a different beast. It's different than like my other friend in Minnesota who is an accountant and he's a math guy and everything is numbers and he can't even fathom the creative side of things, which is a different side. So in order to create, you have to be vulnerable. You have to transcend yourself into different situations or other people's shoes and write from that perspective and that narrative. And you really have to strip down and expose yourself basically, which is scary. And then if it's on a day that, you're more vulnerable, which I happen to be, we were touring and we're not Metallica. We don't have like some room we're at the edge of the stage, cleaning up, striking, wrapping cable, gonna load out. People come to the edge of the stage. Here's me, the consummate optimist thinking, oh, they're coming to the stage. It was like verbal diarrhea assault, one after another, to the point where I was like, oh my God. Like, and a lot of wrestling supporters came, but they were wonderful. But these people weren't. And do I go off on them? Do I say something rude? Do I sink to their level? I did something different this time. I just looked him in the eye and I physically turned my back to each person dissing me, gave it a beat, and I looked for somebody to go give a hug. I was like, oh, here's somebody that's not me. Let me give you a hug. Thanks for coming. But you hear that stuff that people say. You can't, if you're not in the business, if you're not an entertainer, if you are all of these armchair ass wipes that are part of the gossip change, which we need you to. We need that to fuel the fire. It's a battery running a car. You need a positive and a negative to run. Quote Kris Jenner. We need that, but I'm still a human being and I still hear that stuff driving home. And then a bunch of, somebody else turned on me on something petty. Women, imagine that. When most women are pretty good, but we get some real doozers, jealous. Then I called somebody else and they were really crappy to me. I shut down. I get really depressed, and I can act like I'm all powerful and things don't affect me, but I am a human being. And again, my dad or somebody will say, oh, just let it, you can say, let it roll off your back because it's not happening to you. But I hear people like one little thing said and they just are ready to slit their wrists, or one insult or what's it called? Criticism when it's good criticism, one constructive comment and they're a basket case. So I've been in a weird place over the last couple of weeks. I'm good now, but it's like you can only take so many shots. And then so a lot of these wrestling people, they do turn to pain meds or this or that or the next thing because it's just hard to deal with that when you don't sign up for that. Oh, you signed up. Nah, a lot of these guys are doing indie shows. A lot of these girls are doing stuff on the circuit, and then they start to get it. And then Justin Bieber effect, and it snowballs. And then all of a sudden they're bigger than life. And there's no school or blueprint to teach you how to handle all that. So, I mean, the best thing you can do is be nice, but a lot of people aren't, and you just have to do your best to deal with it. But there are some days where I'm literally in a fetal position, BJ, because I just wonder, like, should I even be on this planet anymore? Are people going to be this mean to me? Because people are getting mean. They're mean. They make personal cracks. It's like, I can't help it that I'm this or that, or I gained weight, or I'm getting older, or people will say, oh, you looked so much better when you were on. Well, yeah, that was 22 years ago. I would hope I looked a little fresher then. 22 years older, you asshole. You look like shit then, and you look like shit now. Yay for you. So it's very challenging to deal with. For the most part, I'm a really happy, positive person, but I do have my days where I'm just like, what is this? I can only imagine like Chris, wrestler and singer, and everybody's got their comments. But you know what? You got your comments. You go out and do it. Let's see how easy it is, bitches. It's not easy. It's very hard to get in a position to where he is right now.
Yeah, I hear you. You and Chris and stuff, and some of the like I can only imagine some of the. I see it with Chris a lot, but with like I said, and you saying that you get it too. I mean, we get it on like a thousandth of probably what you guys get. You know what I mean? But like, and when we do it, it's always like I'm usually always just of the mind that we're just like, well, I can't believe you even had the had enough of an opinion to say that about, you know what I mean, about us or whatever. But it's sort of like, whatever, you know what I mean. But yeah, like you said, if it's constant or you know, you start to get comments kind of stacked up on top of each other. It definitely can screw with your head, no
It can
doubt.
screw with your head. I remember my mom just died. I was back home a couple weeks after her funeral. I went back to check on my dad. I had my laptop open at the kitchen table, and I read something, and I was just like, and he was just, oh, what are you reading? Oh, just let it roll off your. I really want. Why don't you read it? You read
Mhm.
it, and you let me know how you feel after you read that. And he was like,
Mhm.
well, show it to me. And I'm like, you sure you want to see it? Oh yeah. I don't let. And I mean, what did it say? Your mom died. Probably it was similar to something that they said to Dane Cook on one of his things, to get away from how fat and ugly and old that you've become. I hope that she's rotting in hell, and I hope that maggots are eating out her, and it rhymes with bunt. And you should have seen my dad's face. And I'm like, oh, that's just one of them. What's wrong? You could see him like physically like getting
Mhm.
flushed with redness, that somebody would wish upon your deceased mom of 2 weeks to have maggots eating out private parts of her body. Like that, what could I have possibly done to make you that angry? But then how are you like Jeffrey Dahmer's, friend, and you just like think that, like, and then that you would write it, like, what's wrong with you mentally that you would put that out there in the universe for everybody
Mhm.
to see your profile avatar and handle, writing such hatred. But I'll never forget my dad. Like, he was, yeah, that's a taste of it. Now amp that times 10 and a bunch 50 more comments like that, and see how you're doing at the end of the day. See if you signed up by being a singer songwriter, wrestling personality, if you really think you signed up for that type of abuse. Again,
Mhm.
I'm older now, like, you let it roll off the best you can, but it's when people that you let into your camp, that come into the studio, that you befriend and develop a rapport and a relationship with, when they turn on you because they get jealous, or you're not paying them what they're demanding, or they're trying to extort you, or this or that, and then they start creating stories about you, that's what hurts, because you kind of consider them to be a confidant or a friend or a colleague. Those are the ones that burn. Those are the ones
Mhm.
that burn. Nothing you can do about it. It's life.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of very miserable people out there, but there's a lot of good people out there too. So, you know,
Absolutely.
let's flip this a little bit. So I want to get to the most recent song that you guys put out, "Just Say Yes." Give me a little bit of a background on that, and kind of how that one came together. That one's a little bit more
Pop.
throughout your catalog. Yeah, it's a little poppier, but a super catchy song. But yeah, kind of, what was the inspiration for that, and kind of how did all that come together?
Appreciate that. We write with another guy, our bass player, who's in Brazil. Very, very pop guy. He works with Sony. And my background is pop R&B, but then also very, very rock. And it totally depends on who's in the band. So at that time, we had a really pop guy, pop punk, great writer. And we were working on some more pop stuff. We had some opportunities to get that placed. So you just go where the wind blows. Now
Mm,
we have, which, and Just Say Yes is a great pop song. It's very Dua Lipa rip, inspired by, which her stuff is all ripped and inspired by people too. So it's all fair game. But that was a specific song, more of a one-off. We were gonna go that direction, and then that particular band member went on to do other things. We've got a new guy, super shredder, rock. So now we've got 6 new songs that are, they're not completely different, BJ, because I mean, I'm writing a big chunk of these songs, but it's a
mm,
different vibe, and it's more like a Long Fozzies or Hailstorm, or it's just more rock. Just Say
mm,
Yes, great pop song, something fun to watch and listen to get you through your workday. Maybe it'll be in a movie someday, or maybe it's a commercial. Who knows? As a writer, as an artist, you just write and write and see what happens. It's a 70s retro video, super fun. If you're listening to this, go leave a YouTube comment. We love that, and look forward to the new stuff that we've got. We just did 2 huge videos, the same director, so it's that quality of a video, but it's rock and they're badass. So we're thrilled with Just Say Yes. Again, maybe it'll live on in a soundtrack, or somebody can use it for something. But right now we're just doing, again, we switched directions 180 to a different direction. But that's how
nice.
it was inspired.
Nice. So, is there any kind of time frame for the 2 new videos you're talking about? And
Right?
is this gonna be part of an album that you guys are putting out at
Yes.
some point in the future?
We're putting out an EP, but we'll release the singles before, and then it'll be a nice EP collection. The Mickey James one might go first, just because it was featuring her as a duet. and the Lax. They're a country rap music duo, incredible following, incredibly talented guys. We might do that one first, super rock. And then there's even one more rock, Talking to Myself. We filmed it at an old abandoned haunted hospital in Harriman, Tennessee. It's grimy, it's gross, it's dirty, it's haunted. It's really, really beautifully shot, though. That'll probably come next. And, you know, we just want to get on as many fairs or festivals where we'll still do our cover sets, which is pop and rock, working in, you know, maybe 60-40, 30-70 on some of those originals. We hopefully people would love to go to the merch table afterwards and grab that EP, which comes with some cool extra swag, and just go out and make a good living, making people happy. And like you do, playing your songs, rocking out. Like, there's a lot of work that goes with that too, which people don't, you know, necessarily realize, expect, or understand or appreciate. But we love all of it that goes into creating. So we're just excited to get out there and get on some more shows with people and broaden the people's days that we can make happy.
So what can you give us a little bit of a set preview for what you guys are going to be doing when you're in New Waterford? Like, so I know you have a cover set, you have originals and stuff too. I mean, will it be a little bit of both? Will it be just original material? But yeah, kind of what's it going to look like?
No, because people don't know us. They're not going to want to hear a bunch of originals. I mean, no offense, they know you. So if you want to do all originals, that's cool.
Kind of.
Yeah, right. We'll do mostly covers. It's I was told it's a late night, you know, bar crowd, beer and wine drinking. They're going to want to hear rock. They're going to want to hear 80s rock, 90s rock, classic rock. We're just going to look at the crowd, read them. We're seasoned. We'll figure out what people are going to want to hear. We've got 800 songs. We'll find something that you want to hear. It's an hour and a half. I think we're playing. And we'll throw in some originals too that we've been working on that we're proud of. Maybe a couple originals that people would recognize from ring entrance music from all the wrestling days. I wrote all those songs that the guys and the girls came out to. So maybe throw a few of those in there. Any originals that we have, we would want people to participate so they feel like they know them. But most of it will be cover. Most of it will be just classic rock and some 80s, 90s today. Just rock and roll, same kind of stuff. I don't know. What are you playing? Are you going to play originals? Are you going to play covers? What are you going to do?
So we don't do a lot of covers. Every once in a while, we'll throw in one or two here and there, but generally it's just all our stuff. So we just go out there and just do all
I
our
love
stuff.
it. Well, then we'll pick up the slack. We'll balance each other out. And that's a perfect answer. Like, that's why it's so much fun to come to this festival, is you're just going to hear all kinds of great stuff. And again, you're from that area or no?
Yeah. So New Waterford's about a half hour south of here. So yeah,
exactly. Like people know who you are and they know what to expect. They don't know us. So we got to come in and just, you know, we got to play by your rules that day. So we'll be doing some covers. It'll be great.
I got you. So sort of piggyback on something that you just said, and you talked about writing theme songs for you know, entrance songs for a lot of wrestlers. What do you think makes a good wrestling entrance song? I mean, because there's ones out there now that are just like so huge and get so much kind of crowd participation, but as somebody that's written a number of them, what are you kind of looking for when you're putting together a song like that?
There's two different ways of doing it. There's some that I just wrote that people were like, I love that song. It really hits hard. Let's make that our entrance song as is. Then there's some that, wow, I really like this. I like parts of it, but it would need to be changed to fit this person. Great. I would say being open-minded and not controlling when it comes to changing your stuff around. I mean, it's like a house that you buy. You want to neutralize it and you want to move in and you make it your own. So a lot of times songs have been spliced and chopped and diced into, I don't even recognize them anymore, but you know what, if it works for them and it comes and it tells their story, that's what wrestling's all about, is telling a story and the psychology behind it. So if you have a song that kind of starts out and it's a good inspiration and it matches a little bit of this person or that person, then you can really custom tailor that suit that you buy off the rack and make it perfect for them. Like, I would say being open-minded and willing to bend and shape and pivot a little bit is a great way to start out of the gate. But another thing is like, I've written for lots of different films and movies, and just I see the cut ahead of time and that we want it to be about this. Okay, cool. Like, and then go write that. So, I mean, I was doing that at a very young age, so I'm very seasoned and groomed to be able to write something that is tailor fit to that person. I like to find out what kind of music that wrestler likes. Are they into? Are they into Rob Zombie? Are they into Metallica? Are they into Lady Gaga? Do they like Tool? Who do they like? And then pull a little bit of inspiration from that. And then, oh, it's familiar. It's unique, but familiar. And go from there. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer in any kind of writing. That's what the beauty of art is it's subjective and it's creative. So you can do whatever, but don't just make it all about yourself. Like, because I want this or whatever, make it about what that wrestler wants and what's going to make them feel empowered. Joe Hendry, I just can't stop listening to that stupid song. It's so good. Just you say his name and he appears. It's like, who thought of that? He did. So it's an amazing entrance song. I mean, I think Bill Behrens is even like managing him, or it's one of his proteges or something. I know he's got something to do with Joe Hendry, but he's like my favorite new guy out there because it's just such a great song, and it's inclusive, and it makes people feel like when they play it or sing it, like they're a part of things. And he's like my favorite guy that's out there right now.
So as somebody that has been in kind of so many different aspects of the entertainment world, I mean, what kind of advice would you have for somebody that's sort of getting into it? Because I mean, you really like you guys work your ass off. I mean, you guys and you specifically, I mean, you're involved in so much stuff, and I see your name kind of on everything. So I mean, you really, really, really put in the work. But yeah, I mean, what kind of advice would you have for somebody that wants to either get into the wrestling field or the music field or just the entertainment field in general?
You already just gave it. You gave it. Put in the work. Put in the work. I just worked with some people, and I was just, my jaw dropped at like how lazy they were. I was just like, wow, you just got a huge opportunity handed to you, and you're proving yourself in front of a huge crew of people, and you're gonna go sleep right now.
Yeah.
Like you might want to stay like the rest of us till 2 a.m. and pick shit up and wrap some cable and carry things. And I hired a whole bunch of people for this last crew. And I said, this is all that I have to pay you. I have this. That's it. So take it or leave it. And they took it. And that was their job description. So they could have taken it and done their job description. But 90% of the people did above and beyond. Well, yeah, everybody's watching you and they're going to want to use you again. Put in the work. This is such a different world than when I grew up in. And I'm not even that old, but over the last 10 years, like things have changed dramatically. We were just having the lunch that I was at that I hauled ass to get to this that I told them. And then it was like, it was getting hot and heated and heavy. And I just didn't want to say like, I have to leave. And I knew I had to leave, but our interview was last minute. And I was really shuffling things around today because I wanted to do it. We were talking about like, it's just so instant gratification right now where just things are just expected to be like, that might work if you're like a social media influencer and you think like that's going to last forever. Like these people that think I don't have to get a job or an education or a trade or learn anything. I'm just going to go be this or be that. Like that's going to work until like what happens when TikTok goes away or what happens in the new election if things change and all the social media gets wiped out, or you don't know. Like you better have some skills and you better have some passion and you better be able to get along with people and be a team player all across the board. Put in the work and be a team player. Anybody that wants to get into wrestling, I would hope that you're at every possible wrestling match in your town offering to help, not just wrestle or run in or do a this or that, but like, hey, I really want to get into wrestling. I really want to be a recording star. I want to be an artist. I want to be blah, blah, blah. I want to speak your existence. And then what can I do to help you? And then could you help me? But give something for, don't just stand there like what's in it. So many people are just like this, metaphorically and in reality. They're like, where, give me. And like, why would I give you anything? Like, what have you done? People are going to want to give you the world when you come forward and are a good person and are just there to not be taken advantage of. Different story. You don't want to just be doing all this stuff for like free forever but you shouldn't have to do things for free or for a reduced rate for very long before, if you're with the right people, they say, let's do this, or let's bring you on to do this or this. You can feel it in your gut, when you're being taken advantage of. And the narcissists out there don't know that they're taking advantage of you by just this, but you said it perfectly right before you asked me the question. Just put in the work.
Yeah, everybody I know that's successful in just about any field. You pay your dues, you know what I mean? Or they've done it. If they work hard, you pay your dues,
And you might have to pay your dues in like the next arena and the next arena. You can't just say, I paid my dues in wrestling and TNA, so therefore, nope, you're in a new arena. Pay your new set of dues.
So Goldie, one more quick question for you, and I'll let you go again. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for shuffling
Oh
this
my
schedule
God.
around to do this today. I really appreciate it. So, give me your Desert Island albums. Give me your top 3. Like what are you taking?
Appetite for Destruction. Just love it. Um, God, what Metallica record? I don't know, maybe their first one. I'm trying to think of which one. They're all like different and good. Um, Like a Virgin by Madonna. It's so good, so catchy. I would take the Purple Rain soundtrack. I think I have it in the other room. I'm a big mark for Vertical Horizon. People don't necessarily know. I love Breaking Benjamin. I love All American Rejects. I mean, I like rock, punk, pop.
Mhm.
I like it all, but though I would say Purple Rain, Like a Virgin, Appetite for Destruction. Those are my top 3.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, I like the I like how eclectic all those are, or whatever too, because I'm
How about you?
sort of the same way.
I was like, how
If
about
I did
you?
it, so it would be AC/DC Powerage, which I
Okay,
think is the greatest record of
sure.
all time.
Yes.
Huey Lewis and the News Sports. So we're
Nice.
gonna go pop there because that's just the songwriting on that is just
It
incredible.
is.
And then the third one, boy, this is where it gets really hard. The third one would probably change daily, but I'm gonna. I think right now I'm gonna take. I think I'm gonna take Motorhead.
Oh,
We're gonna go Motorhead Overkill, which what
okay.
but so yeah, it's sort of all over the yeah, but I like the rock, I like the pop. I'm with you on all that. So but Goldie, once again you're gonna be out here September 13th for the new Waterford Beer Wine Festival. Thank you so much for taking the time today to do this, and like I said, really looking forward to meeting you in person and catching your set. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
I can't wait. Thank you so much for having me on, BJ. We're so excited.
You got it. Thank you, Goldie.